You're running through an airport terminal. Gates closing. Your connection, the one you planned 3 months ago for your daughter's wedding, is 400 yards away. And then you stop, not because you're tired, because the moving walkway is broken, has been for 6 months. And the detour takes you past a ceiling with a water stain the size of a car, underneath flickering fluorescent lights, through a corridor that smells like a basement after heavy rain. You miss the flight. And as you stand at the gate window watching the plane pull back, you think, how is this America? That question has an answer, and it's bigger, stranger, and more urgent than you've been told. Something is wrong with America's airports, and it's spreading. But before we dive in, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment. I subscribe, and I'll personally welcome you into the family. With that said, let's get started. Section 1. The numbers that should embarrass U.S. Let's start with a fact that should stop you cold. The United States has 45 of the world's 100 busiest airports. 45. No other country is even close. And yet, according to the World Economic Forum's 2023 Global Competitiveness Report, the United States ranks 30th in the world for airport infrastructure quality. 30th, behind Singapore, behind the UAE, behind Germany, Japan, South Korea, Qatar, and a list of countries that didn't even have commercial airports when America was landing on the moon. We built the system. We wrote the rule book. We handed the blueprint to the world. And now we're losing badly by our own metrics. But here's what makes this more than a bruised ego story. In 2023, near-miss incidents on American runways spiked to levels that triggered emergency FAA safety reviews. We're talking about planes coming within feet of each other on active runways. In Austin, in Honolulu, at JFK, 3 incidents in a single month. The FAA, as of early 2024, has over 800 unfilled air traffic controller positions. That's not a rumor. That's from their own workforce report. And the kicker? Congress passed a $1 trillion infrastructure bill in 2021, with airport funding written into it. Most major airports still haven't broken ground. So where's the money? We'll get to that. But first, let me tell you about Marcus. Section 2, Marcus's story. Marcus is 58 years old, born in Atlanta. Proud of it. He's a logistics consultant who flies out of Hartsfield-Jackson, the world's single busiest airport, roughly 3 times a month, has for 15 years. Last spring, Marcus was flying to close a deal. A real one, the kind that takes 2 years to build. The signing was at 2 p.m. in Chicago. His flight was grounded at 7 a.m. Not weather, not mechanical. An FAA computer system, one of the legacy systems the agency has been trying to replace for a decade, had a partial outage. It cascaded. Ground stops rippled across the eastern seaboard. Marcus sat on that tarmac for 6 hours. No compensation. No hotel voucher. A form letter from the airline explaining that air traffic control delays exempt them from liability under DOT regulations. The contract? Gone. The other party couldn't reschedule. 2 years of work dissolved on a Tuesday morning because of a software system older than Marcus's career. That's when something shifted for him. He now books international trips through Toronto Pearson, routes his domestic connections through Dallas-Fort Worth when he can. He's actively routing around American airports, not for price, not for comfort, but for reliability. An American, avoiding American airports. And Marcus is not an outlier. Section 3, the structural trap. Here's where the story gets genuinely strange. Most people assume America's airports are a federal problem, that the FAA or Congress or some agency in Washington is in charge. That's not how it works. The vast majority of U.S. airports are owned and operated by local municipalities, city governments, county authorities, port authorities, each one with its own budget, its own politics, its own relationship with the airlines that lease their gates. And here's the part nobody talks about. Airlines, not the airports, not the government, often have veto power over terminal renovations. It's written into their lease agreements. A legal mechanism called the majority in interest clause. It means that if enough major airlines and airports say no to a proposed capital improvement, one that would raise their gate fees, that improvement doesn't happen. Think about what that means. The airlines, who benefit every day from gate infrastructure, can legally block upgrades to that infrastructure if it costs them money. A 2022 study by the American Society of Civil Engineers gave U.S. airport infrastructure a grade of D+. Not D, D+, as in that plus is doing a lot of work. Meanwhile, Singapore opened a $1.7 billion terminal in 2019 with a 40-meter indoor waterfall, biometric-only boarding lanes, and automated baggage systems that reduce mishandled luggage to near zero. Dubai is in the middle of expanding Al Maktoum International Airport to handle 260 million passengers per year. That's more than the entire current U.S. air travel system combined. Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta, the world's busiest airport, was designed in 1980. It is, in many structural ways, a 44-year-old building trying to process 21st century volume. And if you think that's just an inconvenient story, wait. Section 4, Diane's story. Diane is 34. She's a nurse from Newark, New Jersey. Every 6 months, she flies home to Phoenix to see her parents. She flies out of Newark Liberty, EWR, one of the busiest airports on the East Coast. In the fall of 2023, during a heavy rainstorm, a section of ceiling paneling in Terminal A partially collapsed. 2 passengers were injured, debris on the concourse floor, people screaming, not knowing if it was structural failure or something far worse. Diane was 50 feet away. The sound was like a gunshot, she told a local reporter afterward. Everyone just froze. Then we ran. What came out in the weeks after? Newark's Terminal A had been flagged an internal airport authority, reports for water intrusion and structural fatigue since 2018. 5 years. 5 years of reports. Nothing done, because fixing it required negotiations with airlines about temporary gate relocations, because the bond measure had been deferred, because nobody wanted to absorb the short-term cost. Diane's story isn't an outlier. It's a data point, and the data set is enormous. Section 5, the list. Let's run through it. Fast. LaGuardia Airport, New York. In 2014, more than a decade ago, then Vice President Joe Biden called it a third world airport. Renovation began in 2016. It is still not fully complete as of 2024. Cost overruns exceed 40%. O'Hare International, Chicago, an expansion that city planners called essential, has been delayed for over 10 years, primarily due to airline opposition over gate fee restructuring. Los Angeles International, LAX. The traffic gridlock outside this airport is so severe that the airport is constructing an automated people mover, a dedicated rail connection, to reduce road congestion. That project is currently 3 years behind schedule and hundreds of millions over budget. Reagan National Airport, Washington, D.C. This one I need you to really hear. In January 2025, just months ago, a commercial passenger jet and a military helicopter collided on approach to Reagan National Airport. 67 people died. Investigators identified factors, including air traffic control staffing irregularities at the tower that night. Reagan National is one of the most restricted, most monitored airspaces in the entire country, right next to the U.S. Capitol, and it still happened because we have 800 unfilled controller positions, because our ATC systems run on hardware and software from the Reagan administration, not Reagan Airport. Reagan the president, 1980s. A 2024 Government Accountability Office report found that 17 of the FAA's 20 core technology systems are classified as legacy, meaning outdated, unsupported, and in some cases no longer manufactured. When those systems fail, and they do fail, there is no patch. There's no quick fix. The people keeping your plane from hitting another plane are working with tools that predate the iPhone by 20 to 30 years. That's not hyperbole. That's the GAO report. Section 6, the economy nobody's counting. Here's the angle that doesn't make the nightly news, but should. Air travel drives $1.8 trillion in annual U.S. economic activity. That's from the FAA's own economic impact study. $1.8 trillion. About 8% of American GDP. A University of California Berkeley transportation study in 2023 calculated that flight delays alone, not cancellations, just delays, cost the U.S. economy $33 billion every year in lost productivity, missed meetings, broken contracts, hours sitting in terminals that can't be recovered. But it goes deeper than passenger frustration. Roughly 40% of the world's high-value cargo moves by air. That means pharmaceuticals, semiconductor components from Asian manufacturers, fresh agricultural exports, medical equipment, life-saving organs for transplant. When the system clogs, when planes stack up and gates overflow and ground crews are stretched, those shipments don't just arrive late. They sometimes don't arrive at all. And international businesses are watching. Airport infrastructure quality has become what economists call a foreign direct investment signal. When companies are deciding where to build regional headquarters, distribution centers, or manufacturing operations, the quality of nearby airport infrastructure is a documented factor in the decision model. Countries with gleaming, efficient modern airport signal. We are open for business. We invest in our future. Your supply chain is safe here. Countries with crumbling, chronically delayed, understaffed airports, they send a different message, whether we mean to or not. Section 7. The real reason it stays broken. Okay, so we've established the problem. Big, systemic, dangerous, economically costly, years in the making. The obvious question, why hasn't it been fixed? The answer is almost too cynical to say out loud. But here it is. Nobody in the current political structure is incentivized to fix it. Break that down. Airlines spend hundreds of millions of dollars annually on lobbying. Their primary interest in airport policy is keeping their costs low. Upgrades cost money. They lobby against them. They use their majority in interest lease clauses to block them. They've been doing this for decades. Local politicians love ribbon cuttings. They hate the hard votes, bond measures, rate increases, fee restructuring that actually fund infrastructure, because those votes have costs in the short term. The benefits take 10 to 15 years. Politicians rarely think in 15-year windows. Congress hold the FAA reauthorization process hostage, routinely, to unrelated political battles. The FAA operated on short-term extensions for years rather than long-term funding authorization. You can't plan a 15-year workforce pipeline on a 6-month budget extension. And here's perhaps the most absurd detail in this entire story. The passenger facility charge, the small fee airports collect from travelers to fund capital improvements, has been capped at $4.50 per flight segment since the year 2000. The year 2000. Adjusted for inflation, that $4.50 is worth about $2.50 in today's dollars. Airports are collecting less real funding per passenger than they were when NSYNC was on the charts and nobody had heard of the iPhone. Every session of Congress that could raise that cap has failed, because airlines lobby ferociously against it. Since a higher PFC means passengers might push back on ticket prices. So the terminals crumble, the radar ages, the controllers burn out and quit, and everybody points at somebody else. Section 8. But some airports are getting it right. Here's where the story turns. Because it doesn't have to be this way. And we know it because some American airports are proving it. Denver International Airport, massive, often mocked for its unusual architecture and its conspiracy theory murals, is, underneath all that, one of the best managed airport systems in the country. Long-term master planning. Phase expansion that doesn't require shutting down existing operations. A funding structure that urban planners in Europe come to study. Dallas-Fort Worth International, consistently ranked in the top 5 in North America for infrastructure quality, self-sustaining financially, expanding capacity while other airports freeze. Not coincidentally, Dallas-Fort Worth has one of the most transparent public-private partnership models in American aviation. Salt Lake City International Airport completed a full terminal replacement. The entire main terminal rebuilt from the ground up in 2023. On time, on budget. It's now regularly cited as a model for how to actually execute airport modernization in the United States. These airports have something in common. They have governance structures that insulate long-term planning from short-term political pressure. They have funding mechanisms that aren't fully dependent on airline goodwill. And they have leadership that treats the airport not as a political asset, but as public infrastructure with an obligation to the future. The solutions on a policy level aren't mysterious either. Raise the passenger facility charge cap. It has bipartisan support. It just needs political courage. Reform a majority in interest clauses so airlines can't perpetually block upgrades. Fund the FAA controller training pipeline. The program exists. The instructors exist. The bottleneck is money and will. None of these are radical ideas. They're just unpopular in the rooms where the decisions get made. I want to leave you with one number. China has built over 70 new commercial airports in the last 15 years. 70. Not renovated. Not expanded. Built from scratch. The European Union is completing a unified airspace modernization project by 2030, standardizing digital air traffic management across 41 countries, designed to cut delays by 50% and reduce aviation emissions simultaneously. The United States has not opened a new major commercial airport since Denver International in 1995. That's over 30 years. We are running a 21st century aviation economy through 20th century infrastructure. We are asking 800 position short air traffic control teams to manage more flights, more complexity, and more risk than any previous generation of controllers ever faced. We are watching the countries that once came to us for airport blueprints build the future of aviation, and leaving our own airports to slowly, quietly fall apart. America invented commercial aviation as the world knows it, built the system, trained the world, and right now, by every measurable metric, we are not maintaining what we built. The Reagan National Collision happened. Those 67 people are gone. The question isn't whether the airports are broken. The data answers that. The question, the one that actually matters, is whether we as a country still have the will to fix the things that keep us safe, that move our economy, that represent what we're capable of building. And I don't think that's a question about airports anymore. America invented the modern airport, and now ranks 30th in the world for airport quality. Is this fixable? Or is this a symptom of something deeper? A slow institutional failure we're not ready to confront? I genuinely want to know what you think. Drop your take in the comments. Tell us the worst airport experience you've ever had. A delay, a near miss, a terminal that looked like it hadn't been touched since the Clinton administration. We read every single one. And if the comments tell us what we think they'll tell us, there's a follow-up video coming that goes even deeper. If this gave you something to think about, share it with someone who flies. Because the people who need to hear this most are the ones who just assume the system works. It doesn't always. And now you know why.